Hello and welcome to homework 6.04. This is the last homework of this unit. So what we're going to see is there's actually nothing new on this homework. It's just going to be kind of practicing all the different things that we've seen at the same time. Okay, so if we look at the first one, write the equation of a line passing through the point 24, negative 16 with a slope of negative 2. So on all four of these problems, we're going to be following the same procedure. We're going to find an m, an x1, and a y1. Alright, so if we look at this problem, the x is always the first point, the y is always the second point, so our x1 is 24, our y1 is negative 16, and then slope of negative 2, slope is always our m, so m equals negative 2. Alright, so now that we have all our information, we write down our formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now I just plug things into my formula, so y minus a negative 16, which we're not going to leave, we're going to change that to y plus 16, equals negative 2x minus 24. Right? Then we'll distribute to get the y by itself. That's kind of the fourth step. So y plus 16 equals negative 2x. Negative times a negative is going to become a positive 48. And then last but not least, subtract 16 from both sides and get y equals negative 2x plus 32. And again, it's very easy to check these. You would just go to the y equals menu on your calculator, so y equals right there. You would type in your answer, negative 2x plus 32. You would go to the table, and then we would want to check to see if the point 24, negative 16 is in there. So we're just scrolling down, and yep, right there, 24, negative 16. So that tells us that we got this one right. Alright, let's take a look at number 2. Write the equation of the line that passes through the points negative 13, 12 and 11, 6. Alright, so again, we need an m, we need an x1, we need a y1. Alright, now, does it matter which of these points I use? No, it doesn't, so I'll just do it in order. There's x1, there's y1, there's x2, there's y2. Again, it doesn't matter. I could have flipped those around. It's up to you what you want to do. So there's my x1 and y1. Negative 13 and 12. You know, I would say that some kids might go with this one just because there's no negative signs. And again, you can. You'll get the same answer. It won't matter which one you pick. But I'm just going to go with this one because that's the order they were written in. Now, the m is a little trickier here because in the first problem they gave us the m. In this problem they didn't give us the m, but they gave us 2 points, which means we have enough information to calculate the m. We're just going to use our slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So they didn't give it to us, but we can still find it. Alright, so our y2 is 6. Our y1 is 12. Our x2 is 11. And our x1 is a negative 13. So when we subtract a negative 13, it's actually going to become plus 13. So we end up with negative 6 over 24. And you always want to check to see if you can reduce these, because sometimes they just make your life easier. And if we type in negative 6 divided by 24, we're going to get negative 0.25. And if we math frac that, it just becomes negative 1/4. So that's a lot easier to use than negative 6 over 24. So we're just going to write that as negative 1/4. And now I have all 3 pieces of information that I need. So I can go y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I can plug in my information. So we get y minus 12 equals negative 1/4 x minus a negative 13, which, again, with minus a negative, we're going to change that to plus a positive. Okay, step 4 is just to distribute and get the y by itself, so we're going to distribute here. Y minus 12 equals negative 1/4 x, and then let's do 13 times negative 1/4. So 13 times negative 1/4 is negative 3.25, or if you want to turn that back to a fraction, we can write it as just negative 13/4. So we've got a minus 13/4 here. Then we're going to need to get rid of that 12, so we're going to add 12 to both sides. We're going to get y equals negative 1/4 x. And let's just go back to our calculator here. Negative 13/4. So plus 12 is 8.75, which if we math frac that is 35/4. So plus 35/4. Now, this is an answer that might make you uncomfortable, like, whoa, 35/4, is that possibly right? But again, easy to check. We just bring in our calculator, we go to y equals, we'll type in negative 1/4 x plus 35/4. We'll go to second graph, and then we'll just look for both of these points. So, all right, 11/6 is right there, so that one checks out. And now let's check for negative 13. So we're scrolling up. And yep, there's negative 13/12, so even though our answer looks a little weird, we can be confident that we got this one right. Okay. So let's flip over to the back and see what that has for us. Write the equation of a line parallel to 4y plus 5 equals 3x minus 2 that also passes through the point 0, 2. Okay, so again, we're going to need our m, we're going to need our x1, we're going to need our y1. Here's our point, so the 0 is our x, the 2 is our y, so 0 and 2. Now again, they're not giving us the slope, but what they're telling us is that it's parallel to this line right here. And what we learned about parallel lines is they have the same slope. So if I find the slope to this line, I know I can use the same slope over here for this new line I'm trying to create. So let's take this 4y plus 5 equals 3x minus 2. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get the y by itself, because we can't know the slope of this line until the y is by itself, until it's in slope-intercept form. So we got to get rid of this 5. We'll subtract 5 from both sides. We'll get 4y equals 3x minus 7. Then we got to get rid of this 4, so we'll divide everything by 4. And we'll end up with y equals 3/4x minus 7/4. I'm looking at these two numbers. I know that this one is my slope because it's next to the x. So if this line has a slope of 3/4, our new line also has to have a slope of 3/4 because the problem tells us that the two lines are parallel. All right. So let's use our formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let's take our information and let's plug it in. So that's step 3. So y minus 2 equals 3/4 x minus 0. All right, so we're going to distribute here. Now, y minus 2 equals 3/4 x. Now, 3/4 times 0 is just going to be 0, so I could write minus 0 here. I could write plus 0, but adding 0 or subtracting 0 doesn't change anything, so I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to write 3/4 x, and then I'm going to add 2, and we end up with y equals 3/4 x plus 2. All right. So again, because we're good math students, we're going to go in and we're going to check this. So we're going to say, all right, 3 divided by 4x plus 2. We're going to look at our table, and we're going to look for the point 0, 2. So is it there? Yep, it's right there, so that tells us that we did it right. And what we can even do is we can even put in the other equation if we want. We can type in 3 divided by 4x minus 7 divided by 4. Let's put that in parentheses, 7 divided by 4. And then if we look at the graph, we can also see that our two lines are parallel. All right, so because we have the same slope, we're seeing that those lines are parallel. They're never going to intersect. Okay. All right. Let's look at the last question for this unit, not only of this homework, but of this unit. All right, write the equation of a line perpendicular to 2x minus 3y equals 9 that also passes through the point 5, 7. So again, step 1, we need our m, we need our x1, and we need our y1. Our x1 and y1 we're going to get from this point here. The x is first, the y is second, so 5 and 7. The m we're going to have to get from this piece right here. What we know about perpendicular lines is their slopes are negative reciprocals, which is another way of saying the flip that we've been using in class. You have to flip the sign, and you have to flip the fraction. So whatever this slope is for this line right here, we're going to flip it to get our slope over here. So we've got 2x minus 3y equals 9. We're going to solve for y so that we know what this slope is. So let's start by subtracting 2x so that these cancel out. We're left with minus 3y. A lot of times I see kids drop that negative, but it's still a negative 3y equals 9 minus 2x. We're going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Y equals negative 3. And then we have a negative divided by a negative here, so that's going to become positive 2 over 3x. Okay. So y equals negative 3 plus positive 2 over 3x. So the slope of this line is positive 2 over 3. So if we're going to do the slope of something perpendicular, we have to flip the sign, so the positive becomes a negative, and we have to flip the fraction, so 2 over 3 becomes 3 over 2. So this is going to be the perpendicular slope that I need to use up here, negative 3 over 2. And now we're right back to what we've done on all the other ones. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We'll plug in our values, so it's going to be y minus 7 equals negative 3 halves x minus 5. We will solve for y, so we're going to start by distributing. Y minus 7 equals negative 3 halves x. And here we've got, let's see, negative 3 over 2 times negative 5, we're seeing is 7.5, and if you want that as a fraction, it would be 15 over 2. So also notice that that was a positive 15 over 2 because we did have a negative times a negative. So plus 15 over 2. Last step is we'll add 7 to both sides, so y equals negative 3 halves x. And then what's 15 over 2 plus 7? Well, we can just do that on here. 15 over 2 plus 7 is 14.5, or if you prefer fractions, 29 over 2. Okay. So because this is the last problem and we want to make sure we end on a high note, let's check it to make sure that we got the right answer. Alright, so we go in here, we go to our y equals. We've got negative 3 over 2x plus 29 over 2. Alright, we're going to go to second graph. And let's see, we're looking for the point 5, 7. And there it is right there, 5 comma 7. So that means we're in good shape, and this homework is a wrap. All right, I hope this was helpful, and have a nice day.